Back on the nation at 5 with visuals coming through from Russia, where in a short while from now, Vladimir Putin is formally going to sign on the dotted line, where he will announce that Russia is annexing certain parts of Ukraine and making it integral to Russian territory, sovereign, declaring it either sovereign entities, independent regions, or part of Russia. This includes Luhansk, Donetsk. These are the visuals that are coming through at this point. We are expecting Putin to come in, step in and sign and maybe speak at this point. The impact that it has. This, if you were to understand from a map perspective, ladies and gentlemen, this part from Luhansk, Donetsk into Zaporizhia and Kherson, this will allow Russia to connect directly to the Sea of Azov and Black Sea, which are the only warm water ports and accesses that they would have. So this is something which the Russians would want, and they will formally annex this particular region and this entire area for them. Sanjay Suri is joining us. Sanjay, it seems to be raining where you are. Swasti Rao and Ambassador Ashok Sajjan are also with us. But this is a landmark moment because it was building up to this, a war that's a conflict that's gone on for more than about 6.5 months. It was always building up to Russia packing, sealing this place off and taking control, because this is the only strip that would connect the Russian mainland to warm waters.
Well, you suggest that this is some sort of Russian triumph. I'm not sure that is the case. You suggest that there is a strategic advantage, and certainly if you were to look at the map and draw arrows, then some things would stand out. But the position on the ground is quite different, and the position in the real politics is quite different. This is not going to be a move that any country will accept. The whole world is distancing itself from it, and that includes countries that have been close to Russia. China has put out a statement suggesting that it is not going to endorse this. Israel, which has had very close ties with Russia, is not. Certainly, India is not likely to endorse this. And this is not going to be access to port in normal commercial, peaceful situations. This is going to exacerbate the conflict. It will deepen the conflict, as the UN Secretary General has warned. And Putin is isolated. Russia is in a spot. This is actually the beginning of greater difficulties for Russia, rather than the conclusion of a special military operation.
Well, this is not to say that what Russia is doing is right. This is just the Russian point of view. And the Russian point of view emerges from the aspect that there was an agreement that was signed between America and Ukraine on the 10th of November 2021 that allowed, it was a strategic security partnership. So quite literally, it allowed American warships into the Black Sea and the guise of military exercises along with Ukraine, which Vladimir Putin directly saw as an affront to Russia and an effort to try and choke Russia. The annexation of Crimea also did not go down well with the world, but Russia went ahead and did it, because even then the warning was that NATO should back off from Eastern Europe. Ambassador Ashok Sajjan and Swasti Rao with us. Vladimir Putin has gone ahead and done what he believes is in the interest of securing Russia's sovereignty, protecting Russia's sovereignty, and in favor of Russian interests. It has totally destroyed a nation that is Ukraine. It has brought the West and Russia at loggerheads, again with America fighting from the shadows, with nearly $18 billion worth of arms and ammunition being supplied by the Americans to Ukraine. So short of putting boots on ground, America is doing literally everything in this conflict. What is the impact of what Vladimir Putin is going to announce? As he says, this is the strip that we are going to seal off and we're going to claim it as Russian territory or independent territory which Russia will protect.
Anand, is the question to me?
Yes, Ambassador Sajjan.
Okay, right. Thank you, Anand, and sorry for this delay. You know, I fully agree with, concur with what Mr. Sanjay Suri has said. I think this is a sign of desperation as far as Mr. Putin is concerned. It's also frustration because it's more than 7 months that this euphemistically called special military operation has been continuing. Whatever might have been the original goals or objectives of Mr. Putin, I don't think he has been able to meet that. And he has been getting more frustrated and more unpredictable. And this is a sign of that unpredictability. Now, Mr. Sanjay Suri mentioned China and Israel and India. Let me tell you, countries which Russia calls as its near abroad, Central Asia. In the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum on 20th of June, Mr. Tokayev, the president of Kazakhstan, in so many words, mentioned that Kazakhstan is not going to recognize the LPR, the Luhansk People's Republic, Donetsk People's Republic, as they have not recognized Crimea. I think the West was possibly willing to live with Crimea because of its history, that it had been handed over by Khrushchev to Ukraine, and then it belongs to Russia in terms of the population, the culture, customs, tradition, languages. But the same cannot really be said for rest of the countries. There he had a referendum. Here the referendum was done, with whatever reports have been emanating, Anand, with a gun pointed to the heads of the people. The soldiers are going around and asking for their views. I don't think they had any option but to say yes to this. So I think what the West is saying and what the other countries are saying, I think even members of the so-called Collective Security Treaty Organization, which is a security treaty that has been put up by Russia, by Mr. Putin in 1992, even members of that organization are not coming up and supporting Mr. Putin. Even Uzbekistan has said that. So I think if you look at what Mr. Putin is doing, it will further isolate him. It will, of course, bring much greater danger, because if he announces that this is Russian territory and any attack on Kherson, on Zaporizhia, on LPR, DPR is an attack on Russia, I think that is meaning he
Vladimir Putin has just arrived. Vladimir, and he is speaking. We see if there is an English translation to his Russian speech.
Сенаторы Российской Федерации. Вы знаете, в Донецкой и Луганской народных республиках, Запорожской и Херсонской областях состоялись референдумы. Их итоги подведены, результаты известны. Люди свой выбор сделали. Однозначный выбор. Сегодня мы подписываем договоры о принятии в состав России Донецкой Народной Республики, Луганской Народной Республики, Запорожской области и Херсонской области. Уверен, что Федеральное собрание поддержит Конституцию Запорожской области и
Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republic,
Zaporozhye
region and Kherson region. I'm sure that our legislative body will approve accepting the 4 new subjects of the Russian Federation, because it is a will of millions of people. And it is, of course, their right. This is their right, which is in the first article of the UN statute, which says about the definition of peoples. It is founded on the historical unity of generations of our peoples, those who during centuries was building and defending Russia. Suvorov, Rumyantsev and Ushakov were fighting our grandfathers and great-grandfathers were fighting during the Great Patriotic War. We will always remember those who did not put up in 2014, who died for their right to speak their language, for the right of preserve their culture, to live. The fighters of Donbass and of Khatyn, those mercenaries, civilians, Ukrainians, Russians, of different nationalities. Alexander Zakharchenko, leader of Donetsk, and Olga Kachur, Alexei Mozgovoy, prosecutor of Lugansk, Gorenko, Nurmagomedov, and all our military who died during the special military operation. They are heroes. Heroes of great Russia, and I ask you to honor their memory with a minute of silence. Thank you.
Has been made by Vladimir Putin, where Luhansk and Donetsk, formerly now part of Russia, is the announcement, and Kherson and Zaporizhia have been declared independent regions. Swasti Rao, what does this imply? Ambassador Sajanhar is also with us. Ambassador Sajanhar, what does this imply? There are two points of view. There are 2 points of view here. One is the Russia point of view. One is the NATO and the West point of view. The nation that's been destroyed, disrupted, not just buried under debris, but also now debt, huge amounts of debt, is Ukraine.
So, Anand, I think there is a Russian point of view, definitely. And the other point of view is not a Western and American point of view. I think that is a point of view that is shared by a large majority of the world. What Mr. Putin is saying is violation of UN principles, UN Charter, which speak about respecting the territorial integrity and sovereignty of countries. This is a total violation of the UN principles. The UN Secretary General has spoken against it. I have mentioned a large number of countries which are purported to be very good friends and allies and partners of Russia. As I mentioned, even countries like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. Kazakhstan is a member of the CSTO. It's a member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. It's a member of the Eurasian Economic Union, which is a Russia-led organization. All these countries, none of these countries is going to agree to what Mr. Putin has done. I think, let's face it, there are about 23-24% people of Russian origin in Kazakhstan. And there have been statements that have been made in Russia by no less person than Dmitry Medvedev, who's been the former president and prime minister. And he has said that Kazakhstan is an artificial state. And this is the similar sort of comment that was made by Mr. Putin as far as Ukraine is concerned. Now, these countries are definitely not going to agree with what Mr. Putin has done. What it's going to do, it is further turmoil, further turbulence, further insecurity, further uncertainty. And Mr. Putin has said it's not a bluff.
We are seeing, Ambassador Sajanhar, we are seeing, would you agree, disagree that we are not looking at, we are looking at the effect. Nobody condones what Mr. Vladimir Putin has done or President Putin has done. But the fact is that he has turned around and told these nations that I am going to do whatever it is, and that's what he sold to his own constituency, that I am doing it to protect the sovereign interest of Russia. That's why I said there is a Russia point of view. Yes, the worldview may differ from Russia at this point, but the cause is not Vladimir Putin on American soil or in the Pacific close to America or in Cuba. When Russia moved into Cuba to work with Cuba, America threatened the Monroe Act and also threatened nuclear strikes. You remember this. This is documented. Vladimir Putin's position is, what is Vladimir Putin's position? His position is that what is NATO doing in my backyard? Why is NATO still existing when there is no Warsaw? What is this strategic security partnership that America signed with Ukraine on the 10th of November 2021, after which Putin said that I am left with no other option but to move into it militarily. Now it's all gone down south and not according to Mr. Putin's plan or anybody else's plan. A nation's been destroyed. Its maps been redrawn. Its land has been annexed or grabbed, as US calls it. But there is a cause to it. What caused it has to be the question.
No, you are very right, Anand, when you say this. when you mention Cuba, it was no attack was launched, a threat was made. And I think similarly, if there had been sort of, that sort of a threat, there had been some negotiations, a mutually acceptable solution. But, here for Mr. Putin to say, and I think much of the world believes that there was an existential threat to Russia. Russia, which has a total area of 17.9 million square kilometers, it is more than double the size of the United States or of China. I don't think Russia ever faced any existential threat. There might have been sort of, some war here and there, some skirmishes,
The biggest significance, Ambassador Sajjanar, is that their window to the world, that means via sea trade or warm water access, was the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov. And did that strategic partnership or that agreement between America and Ukraine threaten Russia's access to the warm waters? These are the only two warm water accesses they have outside of the Pacific, on the far-flung corner there near Vladivostok. But in this part of Russia, the Central Asian part of Russia, did not have any access to warm water. There are multiple angles to it and aspects to it. We'll discuss this more at length. I've run out of time at this point here on The Nation at 5. Ambassador Sajjanar, thank you very much. We'll take this forward later tonight on The Right Stand. Viewpoint with Zakana.